Oh, that's lovely. I love a cup of coffee. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well. You join me on a Sunday evening in Chichester, in a Premier Inn in Chichester. I'm away with work. This trip was planned, but what wasn't planned is the car parked outside. A 28-year-old car that's new to me. A car that's bound to cost me money, for which I have no budget at all. But boy, is it pretty. Those of you who've been watching me for a while, you'll know I love Rovers, particularly Rovers made during the 1990s. And I think I've pretty much had at least one of each of the models. In fact, I'll put on the screen now a list of all the models that Rover made in the 90s, and let's put ticks against those cars that I've owned. Now, I am stretching it a little bit because the Mini that I owned, well, I owned it when I was sort of 13, 14 years old. It was a Mini Clubman from back in the 80s. So I haven't, strictly speaking, owned a 90s Mini, but I'm counting it because I have owned a Mini. But you'll see on that list, there's, I think, two cars that I haven't owned. And there's one in particular that I've always wanted to own. I've been around a lot, I've been in a lot, but I've never actually owned an R8 Rover 200. That is until today. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about how I stumbled onto this car, how I stumbled into buying it, and how I very nearly didn't make it to this hotel today. I've had hell of a day, and I'll tell you all about it. So stay tuned and follow me, buy, drive, and well, share with you the highs and lows of auction, internet auction, Rover buying. So, like many of you, I regularly, in fact, I would go so far as to say every single day, I check the usual sites. I check eBay, I check Auto Trader, I check Car and Classic, Facebook Marketplace, and so on. I check them for the cars that I like, cars that maybe I own, or cars that I fancy owning one day, or just that I want to keep an eye on the market, see what cars are selling for. I have no real intention of buying anything. I just like to browse. And well, if there's a car that I particularly like, I particularly am interested in, then I'll follow that car on all of those platforms. I follow it, no intention of buying it, just really to see how it goes. And this is particularly prevalent on eBay, particularly on auctions, because you want to see what cars sell for. The problem is with this practice, particularly on eBay, is 15 minutes before the end of the auction, eBay sends you a notification. Never look, never ever look, because if you do, you put yourself at risk of thinking, well, that car looks good value for money, that car's cheap. And all of a sudden, forget the fact that the car is 200 miles away, that it has faults. All of a sudden, your mind working really quickly, if you're a crazy car enthusiast, a petrol head, like you I'm certain all are, well, you start squaring away in your mind how you need this car, how you can afford this car, where you're going to store this car. You've sorted it all out in the few minutes from that notification coming through, you checking the page, and now you thinking about bidding and potentially buying that car. A car that, if we're honest, you'd forgotten even existed before that notification came through. Certainly, you'd forgotten that you were watching it. And well, this happened to me on Friday last week. I was preparing myself for a pretty important call at my work. And well, that eBay notification, that eBay ping sounded on my phone. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. And it was a Rover R8 200 Series Coupe. It was in platinum silver. It looked really good. And in the description, it said there was no rust, that the clutch had been done recently, that had 4 new tyres and a full 12 months MOT, and it had been in long-term ownership. And well, I'll show you what happened because I did screen record the auction just in case, and I did a bit of commentary, which looking back now is, well, crazy because I didn't know who was going to be watching that or if anyone would have been watching it. But here's what happened on the eBay auction. So here's a description, reads really nicely, no rust, nice long MOT, and look at all that service history. Just over 5 minutes to go. I've not given myself a great deal of time to look this car over, but let's have a look at the pictures and see if there's anything obvious. Looking for rust, I suppose, or so. Looks nice up this side. Yep, nice. Looks fine, doesn't it, everyone? And this is a smart looking car. These Rover Coupes are really smart looking cars. Again, looks nice. Mud flaps both sides are there. Not seeing anything that puts me off so far. Oh, yeah, wheel looks good. Something there, a bit of repair maybe at the back of that sill. But again, straight enough. Advert says no rust. Interior looks absolutely splendid, don't you think? That lovely leather interior and that later dash. I'm sure we'll talk about that if I get this car later in this video. You'll know, I suppose, by now. Again, looking good here. Yeah, it's smart enough. Just over 4 minutes to go now. We'll have a bid, shall we? Okay, I think I'll run the clock down and then have a sneaky bid close to the end of the auction. Under a minute now, so let's submit my bid. I think 1,050 quid. That's the most I want to pay for it. In fact, if it goes to that, I'll be a bit disappointed, bearing in mind this is a bit of a last minute thing. So run the clock down again and just put in a sneaky last minute bid. Let's see, 3 bids so far on this car. Am I going to be the winning bid? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, bid now. Okay. So I'm currently the highest bidder. It's ended. 960 quid, 4 bids. That must be me. Let's refresh the page. Yes, yes, yes. I've got it. I've got a Rover 216 Coupe. The hell am I going to do with that? So at that point, I'd scored a really cheap Rover 200 Coupe. I was chuffed. And I knew, of course, that the car had a clean history, having HPI checked the car, and I know there's no insurance write-off or the car hasn't been stolen. So let's wind the clock back to 7:30 a.m. this morning, Sunday morning, and follow me as I travel up to collect my Rover 200 Coupe. Today I'm going back to the 90s, back to a time when all car manufacturers had a coupe in their range. Now it's early on a Sunday morning, and if you travel from where I live to wherever you're going, you've usually got to get a ferry. And well, that ferry over there is the one that I should have caught. So I missed that one. The next one's in about 15 minutes, but we should be okay for the train. I've got, just under an hour to catch my train. So I've got the ferry ride, then a taxi into the train station. Then it's a 3-hour and 8-minute train from Plymouth up to Reading. Then apparently, according to the seller at least, it's a 10-minute walk from the train station to his house. And I really hope so, because the weather at the moment, it's a bit cloudy right now, but it's going to be a scorcher of a day. Well, I don't fancy a long walk with all the heavy bags that I've got, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the car. So ferry, taxi, train, let's go. Here I am then in Reading, and well, it turns out that this 10-minute walk is actually more like 20 minutes, but that's not too bad. The weather's good. And well, I'm glad to stretch my legs after that 3-hour train journey. The Uber this morning, again, was good. Uber's very new to Plymouth, so great to see that we've got that service now and it worked well. But I did arrive at the station and my train left 3 minutes before the coffee shop opened. Wow. But the good news was there was a trolley service, so I managed to get myself a coffee. Anyway, I'm less than a mile now from my Rover 216 Coupe. Fingers crossed it's as advertised and we take a car home. Let's have a look. We're getting really close now, so I'm gonna turn the camera around and see if I can capture the first glimpse of the Rover Coupe. Fingers crossed. So this is the road. I think it's pictured through there somewhere. Oh, hang on. Can I see it through the window of that Seat? Yes, look. There's a Rover Coupe. Steering lock on it, always a good sign. Bit of flat paint there on the bonnet, but he did tell me that. Look at that. Always smashing. There's a dent on the wing, isn't there? Let's give Jeff a shout and check the car out. I have got to stop doing this. Buying cars, old cars, on a wing and a prayer and thinking that, well, it will be okay. So I've done under a mile in this car so far. I picked it up there from Jeff. I had a deal. I'll tell you about the deal in a moment, but this car was not what I expected. Jeff had said that the paintwork needed some attention, but it goes a lot further than that. I mean, this car is 50 shades of silver. In fact, probably 50 shades of grey, because some of these panels are grey as well. I mean, I don't know if you can see, I've just taken some pictures here in Tesco car park of the bonnet and the wing, completely different colours. This car should be platinum silver. Well, I'm struggling to find a panel on it that still is platinum silver. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but that bumper and that wing match is pretty poor. This rear quarter looks like it's been painted by hand, and this black piece along the top, we'll get to the styling of this car in a moment. Well, this has had some rust treatment done and painted black. I have got the T-top up though. It's not all bad, but yeah, this car just didn't present as well as I thought. In fact, the front headlight, the near side headlight, the clips are broken on that. That's been plastic bonded, and there's a little bit of a repair there on the front. In fact, I saw that as I was walking up to the car. It's the first thing that I saw. So a lot more bodywork to do on this car than I expected. This car also didn't come with a stereo, which is annoying, and the hazard switch is upside down. That's a pretty simple fix, but I can fix the stereo. I've got a lot of miles to do without the stereo, but I suppose I'll be listening to this engine and making sure that it gets me home okay. Jeff said to me that the car will drive fine, that he has every confidence that it will get me home. Jeff, really nice chap, but the car hasn't been used for 5 years. So there's a lot that could go wrong. Having said that, he has done the cam belt, the timing, the water pump. He has done the cam belt. He has done the water pump. He has put 4 new tyres on this car. Apparently had some suspension work done as well. This is a new windscreen. He spent quite a bit of money on the car. But less than a mile in, I'm sat in Tesco car park. I had to put some fuel in because the fuel gauge was not registering anything at all. I thought I had a fault with the fuel gauge. Jeff said he put some fuel in it, but I've put some petrol in, and well, lo and behold, the gauge has gone up. So I've reset the counter to 0, and well, now we're going to find out how this car actually drives. One thing I found, I don't think the indicators are working. The hazards work. Yeah, that's fine. But I don't think the indicators are working. Maybe they'll wake up over the next couple of miles, but if not, could be a fuse, could be a relay, could be something worse, but it's not the end of the world. We will get that looked at. I'll probably stop in Halfords and buy some fuses and see if I can solve that. As for the blue smoke issue, well, hadn't eaten anything on this journey so far, so I called into McDonald's, which is just over there, and I had something quick to eat. As I pulled up, the lady next to me said, "Oh, your car's putting out quite a lot of emissions. So I've just started it now for you, and I put the camera on it. I don't actually know how it's come out. I haven't watched the footage yet, but that's how it is at the moment. There's a little bit of blue smoke I could see through the wing mirror. But Jeff again assures me, drive this car, burn that oil off, and let's see what it's like. So, proof of the pudding on this one is in the eating. We've got an hour and a half to go to Chichester, 62 miles. Will I make it? I did refresh my RAC membership yesterday, just in case, but as it stands, let's see if this car will do those 62 miles. It's just an untidy car. I'm just a little bit disappointed with the condition of this car. I mean, the dashboard here has been repaired. The surround on the vents is cracked. It's just a little bit untidy. Maybe we can get bits like that and sort it out. Whether I paint this car or not, I don't know. Electric windows work. That's a good thing. Indicators don't. What else are we going to find on this drive? Let's find out. The other thing I think in this car, I feel massive sat in this car. Now, I'll tell you about the deal in a minute when we get a bit down the road, but let's do a few miles in this car and find out what it's like. Here goes. Oh, that's the immobilizer. That works at least. Starts okay. I did, of course, check the oil cap, which was fine, and the coolant, which looked nice and clean, so no presenting head gasket issues. Again, Jeff tells me he had that done in his ownership. He's owned the car since 2011. Driving past Tesco here, it does cut a wicked silhouette, this Rover Coupe in the windows there. That will make it, of course, a very pretty hard shoulder ornament if we break down. But touch wood, and there is some wood in here. Well, looks like wood. Touch wood, this car will make it. Jeff's really confident, and I've got to say I've got no running issues as of yet, but I have only done a mile. I've got to say, in these initial couple of miles, it feels nice and zippy, this car. There's a lot of miles still in this engine from the feel of it. It feels very, very healthy. Temperature gauge is staying as it should. I did let the car run up to warm whilst I was buying the car. Okay, straight across this roundabout means we don't have to use the indicators, which is a good thing. 127,999 miles on this car when I bought it, which I suppose is up there, but it is 28 years old. And it all feels very familiar at the moment. Whilst this dashboard is a nice shade of beige, it all looks very familiar, just like my Rover 200 VI, which I'm very fond of. In fact, this is all exactly the same as that car. Proof, of course, that these cars, the R8s, the R3s that came after, were built on the same platform. So it's a filter lane. Yeah, again, no indicators required. Phew. There's a lot more work required to this car than I thought, and well, very often these drives home, they kind of inform you as to whether you want to do that work or not. We bought that Peugeot 406 Coupe, didn't we? Back along, drove that back. I've actually sold that car. Now it went off to someone who was a real enthusiast who wanted it. I liked it very much, but I wasn't really going to put the work into that. We made it home in that one, of course, even though we had an alternator issue. If you haven't seen that video, do go back and take a look. I bought it from a classic car auction. And well, from the moment I jumped in it, we had an alternator failure. Now, it was a long way from home, just like I am today. But we're just clocking 128,002 miles, so 3 miles done now. and 3 miles of success, I suppose. But driving out of Reading as we are on a really hot day with a bit of stop-start traffic, well, the temperature gauge is holding its own. Okay, which way now? Straight on? Yes, straight on. Let's hope it's straight on all the way to Chichester, given I've got no indicators. Oh no, it is left. It is left. Oh! I've got indicators, everyone! I didn't even mean to put them on then. God, that was a real creature of habit stuff. That's a... Hang on. I have got indicators. And I genuinely didn't in that first mile that I drove. This car's fixing itself. Yeah, do you know, sometimes though, when a car's been laid up for a while, this one's been laid up for about 5 years, they do take a bit of waking up. Maybe that petrol gauge, I've only put 45 litres into the car. That's now come up to full. The indicators are working. I don't think we're going to get the stereo working today, everyone, but yeah, maybe there's hope for the old Rover yet. Just like all of my other cars, when I buy them, I go on these mad road trips and I buy them and I get home on a wing and a prayer. By the time I've got home, well, I'm usually loving the car. I can already sense that this is going to be the same, but let's not tempt fate. Right, I'm going to get this car out of Reading and out onto the open road, and I will pick it up with you then, unless something happens in the meantime. So you join me just a couple of miles later, 128,006 miles now on the clock with the window up. And this is the first bit of 70-mile-an-hour road that we've got for the coupe. And while that's 65, go well, little bit of wheel wobble. I've got to say at traffic lights, this car ticks over exactly where you'd want it to. It's mechanically, I think, quite strong. Why did I say that? But so far it is, yeah, about 60 miles an hour. I am putting out quite a bit of blue smoke, I can see. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. Yeah, that's a lot of blue smoke. Hoping that burns off in a minute, but I'm not so sure. In fact, good grief, that's a lot of blue smoke. We'll look at that in a minute. Now, I was told the valve stem oil seals need doing on this, but Jeff was pretty confident. Drive the car, burn the oil off, and you'll be okay. What are we now, 9 miles in? Good grief, I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but there's a lot there. I'll put the camera on the outside in a minute and show you. I talk about mechanical health on this car. Yeah, I'm not so sure at the moment. Okay. We'll stop in a minute for a cup of tea and we'll look at that. Well, I'm 29 miles into the drive and I'm spending more time looking in this mirror behind me than I am in front. I've had to stop twice because, well, the smoke that was coming out of the car was just so bad and the car had actually started to misfire. But turn it off for a moment, start it up again, it's okay. Actually, it drives really nicely. I like this car. When the smoke's not coming out the back, I find myself really enjoying this drive. What I've learnt though is keep the revs under sort of 2,000 revs. Don't put the car under load, which is difficult when you come to hills, but try not to put the car under load, and well, the smoke isn't too much of an issue. And I assume what's happening is oil's bypassing the combustion chamber, it's going into the exhaust, and well, it's probably clogging up the catalytic converter. I've already found oil there in the tailpipe, so yeah, this is possibly more than valve stem oil seals, Jeff who sold me the car. I'd suggest we've got a piston ring gone or something. I did say that earlier, I think, on the video, but the further I drive, the more I think that's the case. But right now, 40 miles an hour and what, 1750 revs, yeah, it's a lovely car. The challenge is not this drive. I mean, I've got 32 miles to get to Chichester, where I'm working tonight, and where actually I think I'll shoot the intro to this video. The problem is that 150, 170 or so miles, I've got to drive home tomorrow after work. Boy, that's going to be a long drive at 40 miles an hour all of the way, with probably the occasional stop, if it makes it. I mean, there's a fair bit to do on the outside of this car. I thought that the mechanicals were fairly strong. In fact, I said that earlier and I probably jinxed it, but the engine was running fine. But I think we have got some kind of seal gone in the engine because, well, the blue smoke is probably the worst I've ever had in any car. And I would have expected it to have burnt off by now if it was valve stem oil seals and only present when the car kind of sits and oil drips then into the combustion chamber itself. But indicators are still working, everyone. That's one thing. And it is a lovely car. Oh, I'm gonna have to break this gently to Nigel because, well, what do we do with it? This is one of my impulse purchases after all, and I shouldn't really have bought it. I did buy it. It's now mine. I'm stuck with it. Do I sell it on with this issue, with the bodywork issues, or do we bring it into the collection, try and sort out some of these things? When I was revving the car up earlier, this 1600 K series was going really nicely, really well, but there is a price to pay when I use my right foot a little bit, and that's plumes of blue smoke, that's a developing misfire, and that's me then pulling over and sitting for 5 minutes contemplating calling the recovery service. But so far I've started this car each time again and I've limped it on. Okay, 31 miles to go. I'd like to stop somewhere for coffee, let the car cool down and, well, contemplate life and foolish decisions. So we'll see if we can find a coffee shop on the way, but 33 minutes, 31 miles. Will we get there? Well, as I said, I was going to shoot the intro to this video in the hotel, so you'll already know if I get there or not. But right now, I don't know which way it's going to go. No blue smoke at the moment, good. 30 miles an hour, okay. Lots of fuel. I do stop and check the oil level as well, everyone, every time that I stop. And we're not losing too much oil, and I have got some oil in the boot to keep us going. Fingers crossed. We're just 3 or 4 miles now from Chichester. And well, that means I'm probably going to make it to the hotel, but you will have already known that because you'll have seen the intro. My foot is almost cramped because I'm just feathering the throttle, keeping the car under sort of 2,000 revs. I've had no blue smoke now for probably 25 miles, or no big plumes of blue smoke. I'm not saying it's fixed. I know the indicators fix themselves. I'm not saying that has. I've just not put the car under any load at all. And well, this gives me confidence that perhaps this car will drive me the 150, 60, 70 miles home tomorrow, but it's going to be a long drive because I'm going to have to drive like this. One good thing though, this must be the most fuel efficient drive I've ever done in my life. Albeit the car's probably consuming more oil than it is petrol. But with, 2.8 miles to go to the hotel, car's driving okay. I'm doing 50 miles an hour. I have been overtaken by pretty much everything. I've been overtaken by Nissan Micras, by a Nissan Note, by a Suzuki Swift, by a Honda Jazz. You know the types of cars, those that are always in the left-hand lane. And I've been overtaken by every single one. I've had the Blue Rinse Brigade, all the grannies and the granddads flying past me in my sleek, stylish sports Rover. But better hold up a queue of traffic than put my foot down, blow the smoke out the back, and everyone start passing out and birds fall from the sky behind me. It really is that bad. Anyway, what do I like about this car so far? There's lots I've said that I don't like because I've got problems. Things I like, well, I've really enjoyed the way that it drives. I love looking over that bonnet at that little power bulge. We'll talk more about that maybe later in the video. It's comfortable, it's fun, it's nice, so pretty. I occasionally get a glimpse of it in a window as I drive past, or a particularly shiny car. Yeah. What to do with this car, don't know. As I said earlier, I need to speak nicely to Nigel about what we do with this engine. Is this car going to get into my heart or not? Look at that lovely white Focus RS Mark II. One of them is in my future. We're driving past the New Forest right now, or we're probably a little bit east of the New Forest. So Simply Ford's obviously kicking out. That was on today. So lots of lovely Fords flying by. Nice to catch that one on the camera. Anyway, 1.3 miles, that's 2 roundabouts to go. I know the hotel well. And then I'll have nursed this car, 3 miles? And I think it'll do the 150, 60, 70 miles tomorrow. But you'll find out because I'll feature it here on the video. I'm going to definitely stock up on supplies. I'm not that confident, but I think it's got a chance. Anyway, let's get parked up in the hotel car park, switched off, get this car cooled down, and contemplate decisions, life decisions, stupid decisions, like buying a car on impulse, traveling a third of the way across the country to only find that, well, you were pulled over 10 miles later, just wondering what the hell the rest of your day was going to be like. As it turns out, it's not been that bad, but well, we'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I'll see you then. We made it. Even the Premier Inn is rubbing it in. Are we room 216? Nope. So on we go. Surely we're not room 220. That would really be rubbing it in. Righto, it's time to drive the 188 miles home in the Rover Coupe. Starting the car this morning, it was a bit spluttery, and that blue smoke, well, it was very present again this morning. Yesterday, for the first 20 miles of driving this car, well, it was like it was running on Smurfs. The blue smoke was so bad. But those last 30 miles, taking it nice and steady, well, it drove them fine. Very little blue smoke coming out of the exhaust then. I thought I'd cleared it, to be honest, but having just watched that startup video from this morning, I'm not so clear now. Now, I've checked all the fluid levels under the bonnet. I've also stocked up on fluids myself, snacks and fluids, just in case I get caught on the roadside if this car does indeed let me down. And I'm currently sat at a service station on the M27 somewhere. I've done about 35 miles, about an hour and 15 minutes into this drive home. Getting out of Chichester, there was lots of traffic. And the good thing about this car is the temperature gauge, well, it never moved above the halfway, that midway point. So I don't think I've got a head gasket issue on this car. No real misfires, no overheating. It's just those clouds of blue smoke. And having driven it yesterday, those 30 miles nice and steady where it didn't put out as much, I'm kind of thinking that whilst it might have burnt some of the oil off that was in the exhaust, if I keep the revs low, around sort of 2,000 revs, take it nice and steady, 50 or so miles an hour, well, I'm keeping the oil pressure down as low as I can whilst driving this car. And I think, well, I think it's got a chance of getting me home. Will I make it? I don't know. Will this car turn the air blue? And I'm not just talking about the smoke out of the back. Well, there's only one way to find out. So let's go. About 85 miles to go now. So what's that? 60, 70 miles since my last update. And while the car's driving really nicely, I'm still sticking to about 50 miles an hour. I'm still holding up lots of traffic. And well, hills are this car's nemesis right now because by definition, I've got to accelerate a little bit more as I go up these hills. And well, I risk putting out a bit of blue smoke. Had a little bit on this journey, but really nothing like I had yesterday. But having said that, I'm down to 40 miles an hour, down to 35 miles an hour, drop a gear, but still keep it under 2,000 revs, keep that oil pressure down. It's like learning how to drive again. This car, you've got to drive it completely differently to anything else. One thing I will say though, this little K-Series engine with its 111 brake horsepower, I know I'm not driving fast, but it feels nippy and zippy. It's ample power for this car. I'm sure the 220 turbos are wicked fun to drive, but this engine is more than enough for this lightweight coupe. I'm quite enjoying the drive. I mean, it's such a pretty car, and it's such a pretty and zippy car, there we go, that yeah, I'm really enjoying my long drive home to Cornwall. It's been something of an adventure, as all these road trips are. Now, I said earlier in the video that I'd give you an update on the sale, the deal that I did on this car. What did I actually pay for this car? You'll know from earlier in the video, the auction price was £960. And I'm not someone to go and chip people on that. If the car's as described, well then I'll go and pay what I bid for it, because I only bid what I think is a fair price anyway. But I think it was clear as I walked up to this car, and for some of the things that I've said during this video, I was a little bit disappointed in this car. Sure, Jeff had said in his advert that the paintwork needed a little bit of attention and that it puts out a bit of blue smoke. He also said to me that drive the car and you probably burn that smoke off and it'll clear. But the paintwork is far worse than I expected. I showed you that earlier on in the video. The blue smoke is a constant and needs urgent attention. There's no way you can continue to drive this car as it is right now. We've got to sort that out. And other things like the stereo's missing. And well, if I show you this, look, there's not even a plug there. It's just been chopped and removed. There's no rear wheel in the boot. You've got the jack pack, the locking wheel nut and all of that, but there's no spare wheel. That's missing from the boot, as is the carpet. You've got the layer of soundproofing, but no carpet with this car either. That front headlight also is damaged. There's money to be spent on this car. And whilst I know Jeff, and he laboured the point when I said to him I wasn't particularly happy with it. Jeff's a really nice guy, by the way. Nothing against Jeff at all, but when I said I was a bit disappointed, I'd come all that way. I was willing to go back on the train. It would have been a bit of a problem for me, but I was willing to do that. And but I was stood there, and I wanted the car. I want to improve the car. How far we take it, I don't know, but I wanted to to buy and improve the car. Jeff's view, he didn't want to give it away. I offered him £850 initially, and probably offended him a little bit. He wanted more for it than that. So we had a sensible conversation about the car, about what was required, and I ended up buying this car for £880. And I think that's a fair price for this car. It's got 12 months MOT, new tyres, new windscreen, new clutch. The camber and water pump are fairly fresh on this car, certainly mileage-wise. Jeff had spent quite a bit of money on it, probably more than the £880 that I've paid him for the car. But having said that, the value is the car and the work that is needed to be done to get it up to a good standard, not what someone has spent on it. So I paid $880. I'd love to know if you think that's a good price for this car or not. I think it's a fair price for it. And well, I'm sat here now driving a Rover 200 Coupe and really enjoying it. It's a car I've never owned before, so it's worth the $880 for me and the adventure in getting it home. Time will tell, of course, if this was a good buy or not. And here we are, like, climbing up another hill. My goodness. I might have to stop in a minute, get myself something to eat, and let this little car cool down. But I've done 165 successful miles in it now. I think if you told me that yesterday, when I first had that blue smoke issue, I wouldn't have believed that I've made it this far. But I have. And well, I'm hopeful and growing more and more confident with every mile that this car will get me the remaining 82 miles home. Having said that, this is a pretty steep hill and a climb. I'm trying to keep the revs still at 2,000 revs or below and just manage that oil pressure on the way up. But having said that, this is a steep hill and I'm getting a bit of blue smoke here at the moment. Let's take it a bit steady. Now it's okay. It's okay, I think. Right, up over here. And let's continue. Okay. I'll pick it up with you in a bit. Let's talk in a minute about the history of the Rover 200 Coupe. Just a couple of bits on that. And a word that I've not used this whole video yet, the Rover Tomcat. Why is this called a Tomcat? We'll touch on that in a minute. I'm still about 20 miles away from Exeter. Had a bit of a smoke event just now, coming up a big hill. I had to go down some gears and yet put out loads of smoke. So any of you at home thinking that just by driving this car I'm burning the oil off and I'm sorting it out, no, it's a far bigger problem than that. Any oil that was in the exhaust, in the engine, has been burnt away a long time ago, and it's still pushing oil past the combustion chamber into this exhaust and coming out as smoke. Anyway, as I say, 20 miles now from Exeter. I just want to talk about the history of the Rover R8. We talk about the R8 now and we think Audi, but this was the first one, the Rover R8, which was actually launched in 1989. But it wasn't until 1992 that we got the Coupe. And well, the R8 name, the R8 Rover 200, gave birth to lots of different models. You had the Rover 200 Cabriolet, you had the Rover Hatchback, of course, you had the Rover 400 Estate, and you had this Coupe, and they each had different project names. I think the Cabriolet, the convertible model of it, was called the Tracer. Tex was the name given to the Rover Estate on the R8 platform that went on to be a 400, and we have one of those. And the project name that was given to the Coupe, well, you've guessed it, it was Tomcat. And that's why these cars are referred to as the Rover Tomcat. So I suppose that means that my old Rover 400 GSI Tourer was a Rover Tex. Doesn't quite have the same ring, does it? So these premiered in 1992 at the Paris Motor Show, the coupes, and they were available with three engine options, well, two engine options really. The first was the 1.6 litre, which was the D-Series Honda engine, and the other engine option was the T-Series Rover 2 litre. And you can have that in naturally aspirated or as a fire-breathing, proper performance coupe with a turbocharger, putting out 197 brake horsepower. The same engine, of course, that's in my Rover 600 and my Rover 800 Vitesse. So it's nice actually to have a different engine in this one, albeit deep down, of course, I'd love a 220 coupe turbo. That was in 1993 that the Rover 200, the R8, gained the chrome grille and bringing it in line with the wider Rover family, so aligning it to the Rover 600 and the 800. And well, this is a Series 2 coupe, so I think that came in late 1995. It's a 1996 car, so a lot of changes took place in 1996. After all, the Rover R3 was launched in 1995, but they kept the coupe going. Rover kept selling the coupe. They rebadged it as just Rover Coupe because, of course, the 200 was the R3 from 95 on. And the changes that they made, well, first of all, engine changes were made. So out with the Honda 1600 and in with the Rover K Series 1.6 litre double overhead cam engine, the engine that's in this car. And we're going up another hill here, straight into the sun, and it's not looking too smoky at the moment. It's only when the car really gets under load. But 1.6 litre K Series started to be fitted to these cars from late 1995. Also, the 2 litre engine, well, that was done away with, and in its place, the 1.8 litre K Series VVC engine was added to the car. The same engine that's actually in my Rover R3 200 VI. Inside the car, because nothing really externally changed, but inside the car, well, you got the R3 dashboard, this bubble dashboard, replaced the old dashboard that was fitted to the Rover coupes. So here's a picture of the old dashboard, and here's a picture of this dashboard. And I've got to say, I much prefer this one. And that's a whistle-stop tour of the Rover Coupe. I think production of these and sales of these stopped in 1998. So this being in 96, it is a really late one. And a car that, well, I'm really falling for the more that I drive it. Anyway, as I say, a whistle-stop tour of the Rover 200 Coupe. I'm going to drive now. It's probably going to get a bit dark in a moment, which will be a good thing because I won't be able to see the smoke pouring out of the exhaust. So, failing a major problem, I'll see you in the morning to close out this video, hopefully at home. I'll see you then. Well, I made it back 260 miles in the 1600 Rover Coupe. 260 pretty hairy miles, if I'm honest, because, well, this smoke issue, it got pretty serious sometimes as we were going up hills. In fact, because I don't think the camera caught it that well on the drive back, I've just returned from a quick drive around the local area, and, well, I came up a fairly big hill. The first time I went up, the car was fine. The second time, well, just take a look at this footage. The smoke that's coming out of the car. I mean, people who are behind you, they drop back or they quickly overtake. So there's definitely a big oil burning problem with this car. Now, having had a chat with Nigel about it, we're minded that this diagnosis of valve stem oil seals could be accurate. Driving it along, so from start up, if you leave the car, well, yeah, sure, you'll get a bit of smoke from start up. And piston rings, probably you only really see that as the car warmed up. So from cold, you've got smoke, then it's not too bad. And then when you put the car under load, and not every time, but when you do put the car under load, when it happens, well, the smoke is terrible, as you've just seen. And that suggests that maybe there's a valve stem oil getting stuck open, possibly, I don't know. So I think we've got to sort that out. There's 3 issues really with this car. That burning oil issue that, well, I've just got to sort out as a priority. And assuming we can do that for not too much money, I've also got a return of the indicator problem. Yeah, sure enough, that's come back. Here's some footage of that. The indicator's not working, so we've got to look at that. Another intermittent fault with this car. So indicator sorted, engine sorted, and then attention turns to the paintwork on this car because, as I said earlier, I think this really is several shades of platinum silver. Do I like the car though? Well, it drove back when it was not smoking. It drove back really on song. So yes, I do like it. Why have I parked it this way? Because I think this is one of the prettiest angles of the Rover Coupe. And that really is why I think this car is worth doing, because it is so pretty and so rare these days. So will we do this car? You'll have to stay tuned for that. I think that we will. We're certainly going to have a go at that engine, and then we'll see how far we take it. One thing's for certain, I can't wait to line this up with my 600 and 800 Rovers. And that must mean that I'll have to buy another 400 in the future. Who knows? Stay tuned to find out. I just want to say thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. If you want to see more on this car, subscribe, or everything else that I post. Do let me know your thoughts on this car in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next. Bye for now. Bye-bye.